You start it.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Yeah, turn it up, hey! It's the biggest small show. Yeah. You already know. It's the Mini Vinny Show, let's go. Big brain vibes in a tight time glow. From the mic to your ride, every lane we roll. It's the Mini Vinny Show, the biggest small show.
What up, everybody? I got my fake bling bling.
Hello. Vinny MG is back in the house, out of the hospital, feeling great. I got my buddy, Mr. Phoenix, with his fake bling bling that looks heavier than me.
Hey, it's bigger than you.
very, very special guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the victim.
Yeah, that's that's what my wife calls me too.
Oh, he's got jokes too. That's so awesome.
Oh, it's all jokes all the time. I can't help it. It's a disease.
It is, isn't it?
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I've been going back and looking at what you guys have done. I thought, oh man, I got to get on that show. And anybody that's watching, if you're not subscribing already, you're a douchebag. Get it done right now.
It's just a push of a
that
button,
little
man.
subscribe button and get it done. Just
it's just a push of one button. That's all they have to do. It's not like they're like spending thousands of dollars on stuff.
I was sitting about 6 feet back from my computer, and I used my dick to do it. It was just that easy.
Here we go. And it's off. Hi, Vinny.
Oh, hi, kids. Sorry.
No, we're not rated. We're good.
No, we're not rated. You're good. You're good. You beat me to a dick joke, so.
Only as big around as is long.
All right. Love the cup.
And with that fabulous introduction.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Our dazzling audience, what exactly it is you do if they do not know who you are. If they do not know who you are, they have been living in a rock. But
well, I always tell people, you know me, you just don't know that you know me.
Yeah.
I did. I was a stuntman for about 15 years, and an actor too. Did 3 of the 6 Nightmare on Elm Street movies: Lost Boys, Predator 2, Star Trek, Return of the Living Dead Part 2, Home Alone 2, The Wonder Years. What else? A lot of horror movies in there. So if there was a kid that was going to get beat up, it was me they beat up instead.
So what stunts did you do in Lost Boy?
In the Lost Boys. Now, I was the double for Corey Haim for that show. Also did a movie with him called License to Drive, kind of a more teeny bopper. Back in the late 80s, it was all about the Coreys. And so I was Corey Haim's stunt. Well, I didn't look that much like him, except that I'm a little guy. I'm like 5'6", at that time about 120 pounds, and little tiny spindly little girl arms. And so they would bring me in because all the other stunt guys that were my height were also gymnasts. So they were big, monstrous, guys that just had these huge guns on them. So they didn't make a very good double for kids most of the time.
Yeah.
So they bring in somebody like me. So on Lost Boys, the majority of the stuff I did when the vampires are attacking the house at the end and they're trying to defend themselves and they're flying around. And I think it's Marco comes blazing through the fireplace. They actually put a sort of a plaster cast of Marco, coming through like this, and they put him in a cannon and they shot him through the
oh dear Lord,
through the fireplace at us.
I thought Marco looked a little fake there.
Yeah, that was all practical, effects. Now they do it with all CGI and it would look all good, but I don't know. There's something to me about, the old school stuff where, like if you look at Nightmare on Elm Street 3, all practical special effects. The kid walking around with the, being marionetted, and that wheelchair that chased me around, all that stuff. And even the big Freddy penis snake that chases her around. That they did some sort of animation, like claymation, but there was a big old 7-foot Freddy penis that kind of attacked her and actually chomped her, which was kind of funny.
Okay. What was that on again? Because I'm going to have to watch that.
That's Nightmare 3.
3.
Nightmare 3. Patricia Arquette is being chased by Freddy, and there's this big Freddy, and I'm sorry, it just looks like a dick.
I think it was supposed to betray the dick of Freddy, the nightmare. Yeah.
Well, it's chomping on her, and the funny story about that is we're watching this, and there's a bunch of guys standing around, and we're watching a big dick eat a girl. And so somebody up in the rafters of the lighting crew starts giggling, and then the joke's getting around the room, one person at a time. And finally the director, Chuck Russell, says, "What is so funny?" And somebody up in the rafters says, "That's the first time I ever saw a dick eat a girl to get in a movie." And the place just lit up. It was like, okay, we're all just, tears running down our face. I'm just going to go outside. I can't stop laughing. So yeah. So when you see it, you'll be like, oh man, that looks like a dick.
Yep. See, I'm going to go watch it tonight.
Yeah. Or even there's all sorts. You can see the clips on YouTube. And when they first brought it out, it was pink. Like,
was it really
pink? Like a vein-laden meat pipe right there. And after we made all these jokes about it looking like a dick, I can't believe anybody didn't think it looked like a dick. They decided to slather it with this green funk. So so they were trying to make it look more snake-like. Yeah, well, yeah, having a little bad juju on your weenie, I don't think that made it look any better.
No, right? It probably just made it look more dead and dirty.
Let's switch some gears there real quick.
Yes, that was charming stuff. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
people under the stairs.
Yes, 35th anniversary this year.
Yeah,
how old I am.
What day does that fall on?
Gosh, I think it was in the fall. I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of anniversaries of different films, and when they do these anniversaries, they try to bring out the cast. So there's some shows I'll be doing around the country where we've got Jan Birch and Sean and some of the other guys to come out and do all that. That was another really fun show. Working with Wes, Wes Craven is just the best. I did 3 different movies with him, and then I became his web developer after I decided to get out of the movie business.
What a writer, what a producer.
Yeah, and just a smart, super smart, super funny guy who didn't really, he never went to film school, decided, one day I'm going to be a movie maker, and told his family, this is what we're going to do. And I'm sure they thought he was nuts, but he was doing these really kind of small independent features, and somebody came to him and said that owned a whole bunch of movie theaters and said, look, we need a horror film. I'll give you $50,000 or whatever it was to make a movie. And Wes had this idea about turning an old opera into a horror film. That was, I think, Last House on the Left turned into that one, or The Hills Have Eyes, one or the other. And then that led to New Line doing the first Freddy Krueger of Nightmare on Elm Street. And he just had lots of great ideas. He was just, and it wasn't that he was a spooky guy. He was a humanities professor, so he was super smart, knows what scares people from a very scientific sort of way.
And he used it very well.
Yeah.
Wasn't some of his movies also based off of actual nightmares? Or is that
the Nightmare on Elm Street thing, he had read a story about a bunch of folks in Thailand who had been through some really bad war atrocities, and they just couldn't sleep anymore, and they were having nightmares when they did, and some of them literally just died in their sleep from the nightmares, the post-traumatic stress disorder kind of things. They were just overwhelmed by the things that they'd seen, and they couldn't get them out of their head. And that idea just really stuck with them, that in your dreams, Well, the way Wes put it to me, he said, when you watch a movie, it's different than watching a nightmare in your mind because in the movie, you're conscious and you
Yeah.
can remove yourself from that. But in a dream, you can't go, unless you can wake yourself, you're there and it's just as frightening as real life, And so what if the villain could actually grab a hold of you while you are defenseless in your dreams?
Dang.
So yeah, so even things like the striped sweater, psychologically speaking, that red against green is really really identifiable. So he could put that character way back in the background, and you're like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden you recognize, oh my gosh, that's the red and green sweater, whatever that is, it's Freddy. And so he could just call him up and freak you out in a heartbeat. So yeah, he was really, really dissected what scares you and then gave you no ability to escape it.
That's cool.
Yeah. He kind of illustrated that everybody has a little bit of Freddy in them, basically.
Yeah, it's funny. I never thought of I did a lot of horror movies, and people asked me, why did you want to do horror movies? I didn't want to necessarily do horror movies more than anything else, but that's what they were making, when I was doing this. And I used to say that I'm not really a horror fan per se, but I've written 2 horror novels now.
Oh, nice.
So I can write things that I don't really want to see somehow.
Yeah, that's how it gets.
And one of them now is actually in production to make a movie out of, which is going to be very scary. And it's just funny because I keep telling everybody, no, I'm not really a horror fan. I'm not really a horror fan. Like, so you've written 2 books, 2 screenplays. One of them is going to be a film. I'm sorry, but you're a horror fan. There's just all the evidence is that you really are a fan. And I guess it's true. I think that, looking at the dark side of things, when somebody read my book, they said, boy, when you go dark, you go like under the bed, no light. It's like, yeah, if you're going to go there, go 100%,
Oh yeah. Don't just like,
don't wuss out on that stuff. Yeah. And when people will tell me that something really freaked them out that I've written, there's a little joy to that because it means that the character I created, you cared about. The situation I put them in was a situation that you would really dread. And so I've made this character that you like live through something or suffer through something. And if it really affects you, well, then I did that.
Yep.
And I gave you a chance to experience something scary that with a character that you cared about. That's about as much as you can do as an artist, is to put something in front of somebody that really affects them emotionally, whether it's music or paintings or sculpture or whatever it is. If I can scare the living snot out of you, that's a kick. I know why Wes loved it.
We've got a question from a fan.
One of our friends and a fan.
What was your favorite movie you worked on?
That's a good one, Kim. Favorite, boy, there's I would have to say probably Predator 2, only because it was my first time to be on camera as me, as an actor. And it was everything I wanted to do since I was a little kid. When I was 5 years old, I decided I'm going to be in movies one day. I'm going to be in movies. My mom would say, if you think you can do it, go for it. And so I walk onto this soundstage, which is massive because it's like the Predator ship is in there. And there's a plaque right as you come in the front door that says The Wizard of Oz filmed in this soundstage in 1932. Oh, wow. So you're on hallowed ground no matter what, and I go in there and I'm dressed as this gang member because I'm street, as you can see. I go in for this thing and I just remember thinking, this is everything I wanted to do since I was a little kid. Very few people get to do their dream gig. I mean, the absolute, like, this is the best thing that, supermodels and it's everything I wanted. And I got to do it. And there were big movie stars on the show and they were really nice people. And I just remember that being just like the best week of my life. Just like, this is everything I wanted. And, a lot of people don't get even close to that. So I just really appreciate the fact that I that all the work and all the effort and all the sacrifice finally paid off. That's pretty badass. That's good stuff. That's a great question.
Awesome. Awesome.
Sounds like it was a pretty badass moment for you.
Have
I
you?
really want to be a horror movie actor.
Yeah, no joke.
I have wanted to be a horror movie actor ever since I saw Leprechaun when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I was
And
like,
it's not as, it's a good gig. I mean, it's funny because I tell people that it's about 10% awesome, but it's the most 10% awesome it could ever be. Then there's about another 60% that's tolerable. And then there's another 30% that just sucks.
yeah,
And it's difficult because you spend so much time trying to get a job, trying to develop a relationship with somebody that can give you a job, and acting classes and all this. You're trying to build up a foundation.
I think he got stuck.
Did he
It's just the
freeze?
best.
There he
You
is.
know. So anyway, it's a tough thing, but I mean, I got to travel the world. I toured with Michael Jackson across Europe.
Oh
As
wow.
part of all this
Oh,
stuff. So
I
I've had experiences you just can't even believe. I look at it like it was somebody else sometimes.
Yeah, I know,
Wow.
right? It was
That is
almost like
amazing.
he had two personalities. He had the stage, and then off stage, he was just one of the
One of
best
the most generous, kind people you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah.
I know a lot said about what he was like. I have no experience of any of that. I just saw a guy who was extraordinarily generous, kind, amazingly talented beyond any. I mean, I would just sit and watch the show every night like a freaking fan. Just
Oh
like,
yeah.
look at that guy dance.
And
Look
he
at
had a
that guy
little
sing.
bit of a freaky side to him. I'm telling you, I got to hang out with
Yeah.
him the whole entire
Well, I
day.
mean, the guy never had a childhood. He was by the time he was 10 years old, he was one of the most famous people in the world. And how does that not screw you up?
Yeah.
I mean, I dealt with a lot of kids, and I dealt with a lot of actors that were teenagers, and fame is complicated. And when you're just growing up, and all of a sudden the world says, "Here's $100,000 a week to spend any way you want to," and girls and cars and drugs and anything else that you could want. And at 16, 14, 15, you don't got the brain power to know what's going to screw you up for the rest of your life.
What the hell are you gonna do with all this money? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, how do you know if you have friends anymore? You've got none of your friends make $100,000 a week, So they're just doing their paper route.
Yep. All right.
So yeah, it's complicated. That's for sure.
Here's another question, which happened to be from my lovely wife, who's a big fan of Freddie. She wants to know what your hardest stunt was.
Hardest stunt. It's funny, because people always ask, what was the one that hurt the most? What was the one that was most dangerous? Sometimes you wouldn't know which is the most dangerous, but there was one we did for a movie called License to Drive. It's the opening stunt of the film. The kid's in a school bus, and he's having this nightmare because all good films have nightmares. So we're driving down the street, and the kid's having this nightmare that he's trapped in the school bus. In fact, he's even chained to his chair, and he breaks free and he dives out the back of the bus while we're driving through the city of Pasadena. And so I have to smash through the glass face first, and then turn upside down and roll and go chase into the waiting Ferrari. And going through glass is not fun. Landing on I couldn't just ground. I actually had to land on a vehicle that was following us. So I got to go through the window.
He's got spotty connection.
Filming us. So one of those jobs where I thought to myself later, that could have done it. Yeah, that could have killed me if I screwed that up. And we did it twice in about a half an hour. So not only are you doing something stupid, you're doing something repeatedly stupid.
Yeah. So
we have a joke.
Outcome.
We have a joke about that. They say courage is knowing that it's going to hurt, but doing it anyway. but that's also the same definition of stupidity. It's like, I know this is going to hurt. Well, why are you doing it? I don't know, for the money, I guess.
That's
Chicks
exactly
need
what I
scars.
did. I did a parody for uh The Exorcist, and they had me be a female exorcist baby that pops out. Basically, I kill everybody in the hospital room, everybody, and then they say, "Well, you gotta get back onto the gurney where mom is and kill her next." Cool.
As one does.
Back up on there. And the director tells me, "Oh no, this is just spontaneous, no plan." Goes, "No, no, 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 you're gonna jump up there." Oh, because I can fly like Peter Pan.
Yeah,
Let's
instantly.
do that. They strap me to a harness with a pulley tape, and at first I was like really excited because I'm like, "This is gonna look awesome. It's gonna look great." First attempt, I got stuck for a half an hour floating above Karen Black.
And those harnesses are not comfortable.
Yeah.
No. If you have testicles, like I assume all of us do, those
Very
things
old.
are they're torture devices.
Oh.
We did a film with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and they had a scene where I'm supposed to be climbing up this window, and the guys, I get scared and I fall, and another guy's supposed to grab me. Well, he just missed me, and I fell all the way to the ground. Climb back up. We try again. He drops me again. I said, "You can't keep dropping me." I broke a rib on the way down.
Oh, snap.
And yeah, I hit a windowsill on the way down the house. And so that he said, "Okay, well, we're going to put you in a harness." I thought, well, finally, now it won't hurt anymore, except that it's like a wedgie. It's like, I mean, I can't imagine wearing a thong ever again. Just so uncomfortable, and I'm basically hanging, but by what feels like my testicles, and I'm like, maybe we'll go back to you dropping me again. Maybe that would be better. I don't use my ribs for much. I use those things all the time.
What's one or two ribs? Take me off of this thing, please.
Yes. Uncomfortable for damn sure.
Oh yeah. They had me in a full body harness.
And that's funny because you say, they didn't really plan to do that. That happens. There's times where you're on like, huh. And a really big budget production, and most of the films I did had pretty reasonable budgets. They try not to let anything happen on the fly, but here and there, it's like, look, we're running low on money. We got to get this shot today. We got to finish with this location. We've got an idea. And then they'll turn to the stunt coordinator and the stunt people and go, "What do you think? Can we do this?" And, we try to come up with things on the fly, but it's always a little dicey because people are more worried about money than safety when they're trying to get something done that fast. Yeah. And it just makes you a little nervous. Like, they don't really care about me. These are not my friends. These are business people who need a movie made. And as long as it doesn't hurt the actor, they're okay with that. People always say, well, don't they, they don't give a shit about the stunt people. It's like, no, because that's what you're there for. And you're not supposed to take a beating, but it sort of comes with the territory. You're doing things the actor can't do or shouldn't do. Because if they even get a little cut on their face, we got to wait until it's healed before we can film again. Yeah. So they don't want to take any chances. Yeah. So if even those, some of the stunts I've done, people say, "Well, that's not that big a deal." It's like, yeah, but shit goes wrong. Yeah, and we're it's a very inexpensive thing, even if it's $1,000 a day, to bring me in and let me do it, so that just in case something happens we didn't expect, if I get hurt, they go, "Well, you knew the job was dangerous." Go ahead.
Sign the waiver.
Yeah, I mean, and there's times we were doing Star Trek, and there's a scene where I just fall into a creek, and everybody says, "What's the big deal? Why can't the actor fall into the creek?" The creek was reclaimed water.
Oh, God.
Think sewage.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a fall that's into water that's probably only about this deep, and it's reclaimed water, which means there's bacteria and all sorts of things. And so I got to do a big pratfall falling backward into this and make it look like it's deep water, which it ain't. And then when I get out of the water, I am covered in, I mean, they're telling me, don't open your eyes. And I've got earplugs and nose plugs, everything trying to keep the sewage out of my ears and orifices. And so why was it so important that a stuntman did it? Because they would never let the actor do that. That would just be terrible.
Yep.
Vinny, you know what? He was talking about the creek. If you fell in the creek, you'd disappear.
I'd probably be eaten by all the bacteria.
I just made friends with them. We were kind of a similar,
Well, we get coffee on Mondays.
We hang out on Mondays.
So
Yeah,
Kim
you
has
know,
got another
Eric's got a
question.
wife. She's an
can't beat
amoeba.
them, join them. And your wife's in there again. Boy, she is chiming in, isn't she?
Yeah, Kim right here though. She's got another question with a good friend of ours, and she wants to know what your hardest movie was.
Hardest movie. This is going to sound really stupid because it sounds like nothing. There was a movie you would never have seen, most likely, and it was called Breaking the Rules. And in the story, in the opening of the story, there is these three kids that are all really good friends, and they always do stupid little things together. And they decide they're going to climb into a commercial clothes dryer. And what could go wrong? Well, what could go wrong is one of the kids gets stuck inside. And so he's inside and this thing's doing this. Now, it's funny, but the thing about it is those things, it was a real dryer. It wasn't faked. All the paddles inside that, beat up your laundry to dry it out are in there. And every time this thing would turn upside down, I would fall. And so I've been in this thing for a minute. And a minute means I've done 60 consecutive somersaults. And every time I turn upside down, that thing's whacking me on the top of the head. And so I come out, I'm dizzy like there is no tomorrow. I'm nauseous because I'm just so dizzy. And then I got this, bleeding spot on the top of my head. And they go, hey, we're going to go again, which means we're going to do the exact same thing all over again. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, it just looks like there's laundry in there. It doesn't look like you. So we want you to get closer to the glass so we can see your face as you're going around. And I said, if I do this again, I am going to barf. And they said, no, you won't. And I said, I promise you, I'm ready to barf now. So we did it again. And I get out and I'm sick as I can be. And I do end up retching and they go, we're going one more time. Can you go again?
Oh my gosh.
So they put me in again. And I swear to you, from that day till now, I can't even turn around really fast without getting super, super dizzy. I'm not kidding. It ruined me. Any sort of, I can't do, like we went to Universal Studios and we got on the Harry Potter ride. I told my daughter, I can't even open my eyes.
Wow.
There's just too much moving around. And so, so when you say the toughest movie, it wasn't even an action film. It was a silly coming of age comedy that went straight to video. Nobody ever saw it. And I got a concussion and stitches and a lack of ability to spin around anymore from a film nobody ever even saw. So sad but true. That's you'd think, oh, it must be like a Terminator movie or something. No, some stupid little family comedy that basically
B-rated crap that never even hit the big screen. Yep, I know. I've been there.
Sad but true. That's another good question. She's really got the questions going on. She's good.
She was.
Thank you, Kim.
All right. So you said you had books.
Yes.
Correct?
2 books.
Do tell about a couple of them?
Yeah.
And where people can find them?
They're on Amazon. They're very short, I will tell you. So I don't want anybody expecting this is going to be like a big Wuthering Heights. One is called By His Hand, and the other is called Out of His Mind. And one's a sequel to the other. By His Hand is the first one. And it's a story of a guy. It actually started as a nightmare that I had. And it was very real, very vivid. And the guy wakes up one morning and he's got terrible hand pain, in which I have. If you look at my fingers, you can see there's some weird angles and things. I got some arthritis. And in the dream, very real, I had this. And then all of a sudden his hand starts moving in ways that he's not controlling. Well, I go to church that Sunday, and the guy says, "Hey, man, I don't know what you're saying." And I said, "I'm not saying anything." He says, "No, lift your elbow up." Do what? He's like, "Lift your elbow up." Like, why? And he goes, "Because I don't see what you're doing." And so my hand's doing this. He's a sign language interpreter. And he says, "Release who?" So what are you talking about? He says, "You keep spelling release me. RELEASEME. You keep saying it over and over. What do you mean?" Like, dude, I don't speak sign language. Anyway. And so because we're at church, everybody thinks I'm having this, I'm speaking in tongues, but through my hands. And it just gets worse. He goes into paralysis. And when he wakes up, he can move again, but he can't control anything. He can hear his thoughts, but that's not what he's saying. Something else has taken over. And nobody believes it because he's the guy that God saved. And so it's very dark. It goes really horrible places very, very quickly. And then the second book is a sequel to it. And it's literally 1 hour. In fact, there's an audiobook that you can get on there that I narrate, and it's an hour and maybe an hour and 2 minutes or something like that. So it's a very short, very intense story where most of my friends said, yeah, about page 23, I took a break, man. That's effed up. Like, I love that. I love that I traumatized you for $6. How cool is that?
Right. So both of them, are they audiobooks? They're
both audiobooks, and they're also print books if that's where you like to go, or they're even Kindle, or you can listen to it on Spotify or Apple or whatever.
Nice.
But yeah, it's there. I like them. I mean, now what I've done recently is I turned By His Hand, the first one, into a screenplay. And there's a young lady named Catherine Corcoran who was in Terrifier.
Like
she gets
when they get cut in half.
Yeah. So she's just started her own production company, and she wants to make movies. And so she selected my screenplay to be her first film. So we're in the process right now of doing casting and trying to find locations and do all that magical stuff. We're talking about Texas. I know what you guys are thinking. Where you're going with this.
I will travel.
Yes,
I'm going to have to travel. I'm in Los Angeles area, so I'm going to have to travel too.
Michigan.
But it's an amazing, crazy process, because you got to find people who have crap loads of money, who are willing to, risk it on a story. And so we're still in what we call pre-production. We're getting the money together. We're getting the people together. When you put the money together, they said, "Wait, who's in it?" And you say, "Well, give us more money and we'll pick better people." So it's a really fun process though. And seeing it come, I remember when I was working with Wes, he was doing, I think it was People Under the Stairs, and he's sitting behind the camera like this, and he's got this little shit-eating grin on his face. And because he wrote that story too, what he was doing, the way it looked it was like a guy with GI Joes. Yep. Got your GI Joes, and you're, and this one's fighting this one, and this one's doing it. But he was doing it with real people, and sets, and special effects, and smoke, and lights, and music, and all that stuff.
Everything is spontaneous.
Yeah, and he could take whatever was going on in his brain when he thought it all up, and make it real with real people who could act, and special effects and all that stuff. And now I really see what that fun was. When I wrote the stories, it was like, hey, it's all in my head. I'm going to try to get it out in a way that makes sense when you read it. But when you make a film, you've got a director who's going to work with your actors. You've got actors who may not be what you pictured. Maybe they're not as good looking, or too good looking, or whatever. You've got all these different things. You got a sound designer and a cinematographer and a lighting guy and all these different people who are all trying to make that vision that you had. And for me, all I want to do is just see the actors get up there and say those words. Yeah, because that's my fun part, and I'll have a little part in it as well. But it's a really interesting process to go from book, because in a book you can say Bill thought to himself, but in a screenplay you don't have that. You got to show it. If you don't show it, you better hear it, you better see it.
Yeah.
or you had to say it, hear it, or show it. And so you have to kind of give up a lot of this creative control that you have in a book, because you can just do whatever you want. In a screenplay, you've got to live within what we can show.
Yeah.
So it's been a really fun process. I've been really that's all I even think about anymore, is just making my movie.
Oh, I can totally understand that. I mean, I don't have
like I
the.
said, I'm willing to travel. I'm cheap. I'm half the price because I'm half the person.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. I don't think we get to pay by the pound or the inch. I wish they would, because like I said, I'd be very inexpensive myself.
I'm 3'5", so $3. Come on.
$3.50.
I've done a couple movies, and and by couple I mean two, and they were both horror movies. One was a comedy, and one was an actual horror movie. And the producer name was Joe Lungo, and he oh yeah, by the way, sorry, my uncle's here. He's from New York. New York.
New York. Get out of town. Forget about it.
Exactly, and they yell. So he had this vision of taking bullying and the Saw movie and putting them together. And it came out to be a telephobia. I was one of the henchmen. I was the main henchman. I got more screen time than the actual star of the movie did, and she got pissed off, and I never got paid.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the other part of this that's really tricky. In fact, Catherine, that it's our producer, when she started her own production company, the whole purpose behind it was everybody gets paid by the contract that they signed. No creative Hollywood accounting. If there's dangerous things, we're going to make sure there's a stunt coordinator. If there's intimate things, if somebody Catherine had to be pretty much pretty close to naked, and they were supposed to have something called a intimacy coordinator, just to make sure that the girl feels comfortable, or guy.
Yeah, I see that.
And those are things that are really important. And if the production companies are trying to squeak by cheap, sometimes they overlook that kind of stuff, and you can't. I mean, this is a job, when we love making movies, and it's just the best thing ever, but it's not fun if it's not safe. It's not fun if you feel like you're being taken advantage of. In most big budget productions, you don't have to worry so much about that, because there's plenty of people there, and there's lots and lots of money going around to make sure everybody's comfortable. But in the lower budget films, when people are trying to, they cut corners.
Yeah, it's always been like that. When I did a Telephobia, it was a B-rated movie. We didn't have much funds.
Yeah,
we shot the majority of the movie in an abandoned restaurant. So our tortures took place in a non-working walk-in freezer. We were wishing it would work because it was hot.
Yeah, because probably about 1,000 degrees and smells like mold.
We used the things around us because it was an abandoned restaurant. It had dead cockroaches everywhere and stuff. So we picked up dead cockroaches and we used them in the movie.
Oh God!
Rotten food, put it on the actor. Anything to save money. Anything.
Yeah, and that's and that's part of the. It's funny right now. There's so many low budget independent productions, because there's really nothing going on in Los Angeles right now anyway, or even Atlanta. There's there's just a limited amount of production, and so people are just getting creative, and they you can make a pretty decent film on one of these things anymore.
On an iPhone or an Android.
On an iPhone or simple cameras. My digital camera that I use for doing photography can actually make 4K, movies. And so there are people doing just that, and that's good and it's bad. I mean, it kind of gets you, it makes it so that just about anybody can be a filmmaker, but it also makes it so just about anybody can be a filmmaker. You don't have to be good to be able to.
Yeah, exactly.
And people, they, like I said, they don't know what they're getting themselves into sometimes when they do car stunts or they get into things. They feel like, oh, we can do this. It's like, accidents happen. So it's always good to have, when we do our stuff, we have stunt coordinators and all those different things, because even even though I did stunts, I don't want to coordinate my own stunt because I want to make sure somebody else is watching out for things that I don't see. I got blind spots. I'm only worried about my butt. I'm not worried about what's going to happen, for everybody else. So somebody else who kind of looks at the whole big picture and says, no, 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 you got to watch out for this. It's like, thank you for watching out for me.
That's awesome. So what was your first movie?
First movie. Oddly, it was Wes Craven. It was a TV movie for Disney. Now you wouldn't normally equate Wes Craven and Disney, but
No, he did a couple. Yeah.
he did a lot of television because he's a director. He wants to direct, and so if he didn't have a movie working at that time, he'd take on one of these TV movies, and it was something called Case Busters, and it was a very typical Disney schlock. These kids are just crime stoppers, and we just did a thing where a buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey, I got this kid. Looks just like you. You want to do a stunt?" And I said, "I'm not a stunt man. I am an actor." And he's like, he looks just like you. You'll get your union card and it pays $1,000. Like, that's my day. So I was only a passenger in the car, and we were going up and down the LA River in his truck chasing another car. And I said, does the car crash? He goes, "It shouldn't." So I said, "Okay, I'm in." And so the very first day that I got my union card, I got my first job. And working with Wes, which was, at the time, I didn't even really know that much about who Wes was. And then, like I said, later I ended up doing 2 more shows for him. But it was really fun. I just remember thinking, okay, I'm on the set. I'd done some extras work, but this was like my first real, union gig. And I just remember, thinking this is what I've been working for, and here we are. How cool is that? But no speaking roles up until till Predator.
Till Predator, that's cool. Wes and Stephen King have been my favorite.
Oh
yeah.
And then you can't beat Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino talks too much. My opinion.
Not a big fan of his dog and poor Paul Dano and Matt. I don't know. It's funny. As much as I do this, people will ask me for, stories about, actors that were unkind or unfriendly. I don't tell those stories because it was such a small portion of my career. I don't want to sit and dog somebody. And when I heard that, Quentin said he didn't like Matt Lillard, it's like, so, I mean, I don't like opera, but I don't sit there and, bash it all day long.
Right.
It's not my thing. I don't think that anybody else shouldn't enjoy it. And I don't think I'm not going to sit and say that it sucks. I'm just going to say, not for me. And it just seemed like, Matt's a good guy, and his fans came to his rescue. He didn't have to stand up for himself at all. It was kind of nice for that. And he said he's just been like getting this love bath ever since Quentin said that. People saying, "Hey, I think you're great." And he's like, "Thanks." I didn't actually have a confidence problem, but when somebody like Tarantino says a negative thing about him, it could actually affect his career, and that's not very nice.
No,
I still love Quentin Tarantino films. I'm not bashing him. I just think that sometimes he gets into these long podcasts and they just start going off script, and he just wanders into territory where he's being a little mean unnecessarily.
The words and actions that he took was not correct. Not correct. But
I mean, would I go see his next movie? Damn it! Yeah,
right?
I don't have to like you to like your film.
There's going to be a Pulp Fiction too.
Yeah, well, I guess they've got
pretty good movies. He made some gory ass movies. Cherry 2000 with what's her name? The redhead. Smoking hot.
I mean, and it's funny because he makes really expensive B movies sometimes. He finds the best actors to make movies that were the kind of stuff that I grew up with. I'm a little older than you guys, I bet. And so I look at some of those movies, and they're kind of like the old Bruce Lee movies. Like if you look at Kill Bill 1 or 2, it's basically a Bruce Lee movie called Game of Death. I mean, it's not even trying. And she's even wearing the same suit. And I can enjoy those. And I get that a lot of people don't. People, oh, it's too violent, it's too that. It's like, then don't watch.
Right.
Exactly.
Not everything's for everybody. I don't watch the My Little Pony movies. I don't think I'm not telling anyone
I have
else
no
they
choice.
shouldn't. It's just,
I have no choice. I
If
have
it's too
a
violent,
I have a 4-year-old niece that just takes over every TV in my house, and that's
I have
all
a
she watches.
23-year-old girl who's about to get married that still makes me watch Bluey.
oh God. Yeah.
Hey, it's what we do, It's you're gonna be a good dad. You gotta put up with all the silliness that goes with it.
See, my dad was the big horror nut, and that was my cartoons.
Well,
It wasn't Mickey Mouse, it was Chucky.
one of the things that I learned by doing these conventions, a guy came up to me and he says, "Hey, Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite movie of all time." And it's not like it's Ben-Hur. This isn't the pinnacle of. And I said, "So why is it your favorite movie?" And he goes, "I'll tell you, man. I was like 16, and or not 14, and my dad takes me to see Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Now we didn't tell my mom because she would have been pissed. And my dad took me out to this really great steak dinner, and we never ever told my mom. This was our little secret." He says, my dad just treated me like I was more of a grown up, and we became more friends than father and son. We just really had this mutual respect. And I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, dude, this has nothing to do with the movie. This has to do with you bonding with your dad and having this really great, transition in your life. And you associate the movie with that. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, I love that story, Another guy's telling me a similar story, same movie, says, this girl that I really wanted to date, it's a hot summer night. We go see Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and she's wearing a tank top and she's not wearing a bra. And she gets all scared and she cuddles up next to me, and this hand over here, I got my first side boob action, just laughing. I said, dude, again,
Get the second base. Thank you.
This has a lot less to do with Freddy Krueger and a lot more to do with Susie than it did with
Right.
the film. But it's any of these films, and it's like a good song, from when you were growing up. Certain songs or movies, those things meant something to you, and they encapsulate a time in your life that was really transitional. You were growing up, you were seeing new things, you were doing stuff your parents didn't want you to do, you were listening to music your parents told you not to listen to. And so now you're older and you go, oh man, I remember that, and that movie was the greatest. Was it the greatest? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but you remember it, you remember it because it was part of a really important time in your life.
You go back and you watch it and you're like, this is not what I remember.
Oh, well, yeah. You have some films don't hold up. You watch it and you go, damn, that was lame.
Like
what was I thinking?
My favorite horror movie as a really, really small kid was Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh yeah,
that's not even a horror movie.
Are you talking about the musical? Or are you talking about the original with Jack Nicholson?
No, I'm talking about the musical.
Okay, yeah.
And then I saw the original with Jack Nicholson when I was older. But I went back to watch the musical again. I was 16 years old. I said, oh, Little Shop of Horrors. Haven't seen this in like forever. Let's watch it. It's so super scary. And then you got all these people dancing in the street and singing. And what the fuck is this shit?
Well,
and
it's not what I watch.
Ever, though. It's a great movie. It's just not a horror movie.
It's not.
It is. It's a plant.
It's a
plant that eats people. And
no more than Rocky Horror is a horror movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a parody, it's satire, but it's still the story is there. And I kind of look at a lot of these films that I did, and I'll do a convention and people will come by and talk about their favorite scenes and all that stuff. And I really enjoy that part, because I like to tell them, like, hey, something you would never know if I didn't tell you this. And I tell them a little story about the film, like, hey, you can see the wires pulling the wheelchair. If you look careful, right between my feet, you can see how. And they go back and they watch the movie again.
And they see it.
And then they enjoy the film all over again. And they'll write to me on Instagram or Facebook and go, dude, I can't believe I never saw that before. That's crazy. And and then I called all my friends and we all came over and we watched the movie together. And I showed them and I said, no, that guy that did the stunt for that, he told me about this. And they enjoy the film all over again, and it gives them a connection to it that makes them feel like they just, they've got some inside dirt on how it was done. And then they enjoy it again. And, that cost me nothing. I'm just, sitting there just, telling stories and having fun. And I just really like that people, like I used to think people that enjoy these movies, I mean, I thought these were Kleenex. You're going to watch that movie once, you're going to throw it away, and now, here we are 35, 39 years later on some of these movies, and people are like, oh my gosh, these movies are just, they're like my favorite thing in the world. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't assume that anybody would ever care about any of these movies ever again. And so when people tell me that they're a big part of their lives, it's like, well, cool. Because I mean, I'm a big music listener, and there's certain albums that are just part of my growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And when times were bad, I would listen to Deep Purple, Made in Japan, and when times were good, I would listen to this album or Kiss or whoever it was. And so I realized that some of these films are for them like those songs were for me.
Oh yeah.
And it's a really nice thing. I mean, you'd written to me when you were looking at my resume saying, oh my gosh, this is really awesome. I'm like, yeah, it's a real reminder about how fortunate I've been to be a part of things that are touchstones, in other people's lives. And, people tell you these stories and you're just like, that is the sweetest, I got tears running down my face. Like, dude, that's the coolest thing I ever heard. I can't believe it. I'm so glad I got to meet you. And they're like, yeah, I'm glad I got to meet you too. It's like, now they're connected to the film and I'm connected to the people that actually, enjoyed them. We watched Predator 2 at a big theater recently. And then, the movie's, I don't know, probably 30 years old now. And I go into this theater, it's 10 o'clock at night. I figure it's going to be empty. Who's going to go see Predator 2 at a 10 p.m. showing at this little dinky theater down in Glendale? And it's packed.
Yep.
And I'm watching in the back and my scene's coming up and they're laughing. They're laughing at the good parts. They're cheering for the gang. They're cheering for the Predator. They're really deeply enjoying this film. And the promoter came over to me and he goes, are you tearing up? I said, I am absolutely tearing up. I had not been in a big theater to see this in 30 years.
Yeah.
And to see people really enjoy it again and to see my face, 50 feet across on and remember how big a deal that was the first time, oh, if that don't make you happy, I don't know what's going to work.
Okay. We only got 6
hold on
minutes.
1 second. I want to say one more thing. What is with who did The Hills Have Eyes?
That was Wes and Michael Berryman. And I tell you, it's been a long time since I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Those are scary movies. I don't watch scary movies.
The ball on that movie. I went to see it with my dad. That was a horror movie they tried way too much. And the scene where he's in the house and the guy with the really big head that's on the rocking chair starts threatening a guy with a baseball bat. This dude can't move. He's going to kill himself if he moves. We start laughing out loud, me and my dad. We're like, what? And then all of a sudden he starts beating him with the baseball bat. What did you think was going to happen?
It's funny. Wes has a thing he told me one time. He said, if you walked in, say you're at a big multiplex theater and you go into, if you put on some headphones and you can't hear a thing and you walk in and you're facing the audience, not the screen, and you watch, you wouldn't know if you were watching a horror film or a comedy.
Yep.
Because the reaction is sort of the same. You see something, even if it's really gnarly, but there's like a laugh. It's this release of all this emotional energy that you've had, even if it's scary, you go, oh, and then after you realize you were scared, you laugh.
Yeah.
And so he said, a good scary movie is a lot like a good comedy in that there's a lot of emotional release on it, even if it's silly, even if it's gory, even if it's unwatchably, gory and nasty, you're still going to have sort of a laugh because it's just your body letting out all that fear and all that tension in your life. And that's where those films, that's why what Wes really liked to do. He really liked to get you just to be able to deal with the misery of the world in a theater for just
Yeah.
an hour and 45 minutes
Yeah.
and, leave with a sense of relief, that it wasn't you, I guess.
So
Yeah.
we've
Well,
got
now I know not to do that. Okay.
Yeah, don't tease the guy with the baseball bat. I think that's most people goes without saying, but
Yeah.
that old guy,
It's like, dude, you're in a rocking chair. You can't
yeah, you're not going anywhere in
stand
a
up,
hurry.
and you're telling a guy with a baseball bat that has nails poking out at the very tip, and you're saying, "I'm gonna rip your head off. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna do this." And this guy is just looking at you like, "Okay, when you're done talking, you're gonna die." That's
Yeah.
just where
Well,
I put myself.
that's one of the fun things about Scream. When I first read the screenplay for Scream, I thought this will never get made. It's too graphic. It's too intense. And Wes said, no, it's going to be funny. And I thought, this ain't funny. But it was the way Wes directed it. And because in the movie, all of the characters are movie fans, particularly of scary movies. And so they know the rules and they know to ignore them. It was groundbreaking when it came out. I mean, I know Scream 7 just came out and was, had the
Yeah, I
biggest
just can't wait to
debut of all of them. And it just shows you that the formula, and Wes was not a big formula fan, but the idea of playing around with the rules,
Mhm.
that people live and die by in horror films is still fun. Even 7 films and $1 billion later, people will still enjoy it. And there's something good about that. I mean, I'd like to see something new and original out there, but
Yeah.
there's so many fun Easter eggs in there that you can enjoy if you're a big hardcore, seen the movie 3,000 times kind of fan, and they're out there. And I already know, I was talking to Kevin Williamson at this party about a week and a half ago, and they're already starting on 8.
Oh wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So we've
I'd
got
love to
1
be in a
minute
Scream
before
movie.
8.
I think that would be the funnest thing ever, to be in a Scream movie with some of the original characters, including Cindy.
Yeah, and Matt was in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
He's a
There's a controversy. A good friend of mine was his stunt double for Scream, and they dropped the TV on his face and gets all electrocuted. And he said, Wes never said you're going to be electrocuted and die. Wes said you're going to be electrocuted. He very clearly did not say you die. And so people are like, no, Stu's dead. Stu's dead. And the one guy in the room, my friend Alan Robinson, said, I was there. I was him. He never said, I want you to be dead.
Right.
So there's this whole thing, is Stu alive? Is Stu dead? I just love that people are still talking about it. I don't have a real opinion on it one way or another. I just think it's great that people are such fans of the film that it's something even worth arguing.
Yep.
I'm glad the character means enough to him, whether they hate him or love him or whatever, that 30, years later, we're still, yakking about it over, chili fries.
Oh yeah. So
Now, something we have to do before we go, and I
Yes.
do have to go soon, is you had asked if I would give a couple of donated items to give to people in your in the comment section. Now I'm going to send something to your wife just because I have to, and because you threatened me. But I'm going
You're not supposed to say that right now.
And,
now I was going to sign some of my filthy underwear. So that's, it's a gift. It's getting rid of something I
can't
don't
be
need.
any dirtier than Mr. Phoenix.
Oh, come on.
But I'm going to send your lovely wife something. But then I want to pick somebody out of the audience here, and I'm going to give you a autographed, whether you like it or not, Freddy Krueger Funko Pop. Ooh.
There we go.
So what we're going to do, how are we going to pick who we're going to do here?
Well, so far there is
chances are pretty good you're going to win, those of you who are out there, because there's Kim, there's is it Erica?
That's my wife, yes, and then
Oh,
Terry
that-
is my cousin.
Well, see, now you told me that. Now I can't give them to anybody. Sorry, I'm not giving it to all
Wait
you
a
guys.
minute. There's
That's a damn nepo
there's a
baby.
new entry.
Oh, what's it? Who's this one? That's you guys.
Oh,
Well,
The
I'll
Mini
let
Vinny
you guys.
Show.
I'll
You
tell you what
said
we'll do.
me.
You guys pick somebody. I'm gonna just, I won't look, and then send me that person's mailing address, and I will ship it out probably by the end of the week, which is pretty soon.
Okay.
And I'll get something out to him, little signed Funko, and maybe a picture and a
You know what?
not this cup, but the "What Would Freddie Do" bracelet. Ooh.
Okay. I know
Ooh.
how to do this. They have to watch Friday night. Let's Talk Paranormal, and they will be announced the winner.
There you go. You announce them, then you send me whatever I need to do. I mean, I can send it to you, and you can send it to them if they're afraid that I'm going to stalk them.
Look, another comment came through. Said,
What's that?
send it to Vinny.
oh, that happens to be Vinny playing with the controls.
No.
I don't trust him anymore. I didn't trust him to begin with, but I don't trust him any more or any less. I just don't trust him at all.
That's why he lost
You
that half
can't
an
trust
inch.
me as far as you could throw me. Probably could
Well,
throw me
that could actually be, that might be, that's a pretty reasonable distance. Let's say it's as far as I can throw Mr. Phoenix. That
That's
would
gonna
not
be
be
All
far.
hard.
I'd be lucky to tip him over. I might nudge him in one side or the other. I trust you as far as I can nudge you.
Nudge you.
But yeah, you guys get that info to me, and I will send something out, and
Absolutely.
hopefully they'll enjoy it. If they don't, hey, they got it for free. Shut up.
And the wife is definitely going to buy your books because she uses she's been getting into audiobooks with her work. She works for the government making parts for airplanes. So
You're not supposed to say
It must be one of those pilot programs.
We're out now.
yeah, it's a hush hush.
Yeah, but I'll send that, and then I'll well, actually, you know what? Whether she gets the book or not, I will send you a copy of both books.
Well, I appreciate
That's
that. That's
awesome.
super
And
awesome.
then, but I'll still do the Funko Pop to somebody else, and that you guys pick, and we'll get them out, and hopefully they'll enjoy it. And if people do want to get the books, again, they're all over Amazon. It's literally, if you listen to it, I think as an audiobook, it's $1.
Oh wow.
How much? I mean, it's so cheap. I get 18 cents. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I really love bringing my work to people, and I really hope they like it. So go get it on Spotify or get it on Apple Books or whatever it is, and spend the buck. I promise you, it's not going to be the worst hour of your life.
And you're making a movie of it, so come on, you're going to be right there.
Now,
And
I will tell you, the
it's
screenplay is so different. There's so much more mayhem and craziness
And that's the best.
because I had the time, but it's the
If
same
you
story,
happen
just
to write-
crazier.
If
What's
you
that?
happen to write another movie or another book and want to turn it into a movie, I'm your guy.
Okay. I may hold you to that.
You can hold it to me. You can staple it to me. You can put in a pair of cement shoes.
He's going to make you swim
what
with
do
the
I-
fishes.
I have to think about who I've got. It's funny because as we were starting the casting process, our producer had said, we really want to make as diverse an audience as diverse a cast as we can. And I said, I don't write, anyone being having any particular look at all. I mean, there's no descriptions of anybody. I said, so I got nothing on that. And she's like, yeah, well, let's just make it normal. Not everybody's a blonde, beautiful girl. Sometimes it's, short little bald guys. Who could I be thinking of?
Oh,
Yeah,
no, he's got hair. Put that back on.
I don't have hair. I don't have
It's
hair.
it's a solar panel for a love machine. That's what I say.
Exactly.
That is
You
awesome.
put
So
us out in the sun, we will charge up quick.
it has been a blast speaking with you, and we will stay in contact for sure.
Absolutely.
Anything that you can think of that you would like to come back on the
Well,
show.
When the movie's getting close, then I will be haunting you. But we'll probably get filming in the fall for real.
Okay.
Hopefully have it done by the end of the year. These things really take time. It's complicated.
Yes, I can understand.
But when
Like
it
I
does,
said, if you
I
need
will
a
be back.
character like me, you know me, you got me on Facebook, you got me here. I'll send you my contact info. Shoot me a text
Yeah.
anytime. I'm free. I don't work, so work is what I'm looking for.
You know how to find me now.
Yeah, I do.
All right, gentlemen. You guys have a great night. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Kim, you and I will talk later.
Oh yeah.
What?
All right, guys.
None of these prying eyes are
This
there.
is the Vinny Show. This is the Mini Vinny Show. Let's talk biggest small, and let's. Thank you.